between what we see and what we think we know and believe. There are worlds. There are things that we cannot understand. Bigfoots Pad Paranormal Investigations team is in charge of the field. Bigfoots Pad Paranormal Investigations team. Bigfoots Pad Paranormal Investigations team. Bigfoots Pad Paranormal Investigations team.
And welcome to another edition of Bigfoots Pad Paranormal Radio. I'm Jeremy, and on the line with me is Brent. We're supposed to have another one, maybe two hosts call in. Today's show is, there's Nick. Nick?
Yeah, I'm on.
All right. Well, Tim's going to call in a second, but Brent's on the phone.
All right, hey, Brent.
Well, today's show is supposed to be about the Mothman and other flying creatures. But before we get to that, we're going to do a little bit of news like we usually do. My first article is about Japanese robot farms. The project, masterminded by Ministry of Agriculture, will involve unmanned tractors working the fields of a farm on the disaster zone from the tsunami spanning 600 acres. Robots will then box the produce grown on the farm, including rice, wheat, soybeans, fruit, and vegetables, as part of the Dream Project scheme, according to Nikkei, is how you say it, N-I-K-K-E-I, Nikkei. The growth of crops will also be boosted by recycled carbon dioxide generated by the operation of the machinery in a bid to reduce reliance on chemical fertilizer. An expanse of farmland in the Miyagi... Dang, that was a weird whistling noise. Anyways, they said research is supposed to begin this year with the forecast government investment of $33 million in our money.
So what do we get in return when we eat these irradiated crops, an extra arm and a leg, maybe a third eye? We're going to turn into triclops?
Oh no, would you eat the fruit and things grown in the tsunami zone by the robots, friend?
Yummy. It's already cooked in the microwave even before it gets...
We say crickets? Nick?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you were asking Brent a question. I said, yummy, that stuff is cooked in the microwave even before it gets to the microwave.
I was just saying, isn't that kind of a little dangerous? So you would think that would be somewhat dangerous unless it was perfected.
Yeah, it has to be some type of filtration process or some... I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you de-radiate nuclear radiation. I don't even know if there's such a process, so it just sounds fishy to me.
Well, my next story, this is for Brent. A car reported stolen last month in the Adelaide Hills is believed to have rolled into the garage of a nearby home, parking itself perfectly. The car's owner from Upper Sturt this is in England, had parked the vehicle on a slight slope outside a shop in Stirling early on December 18th. He'd returned 15 minutes later to find the car was gone, and then he called the police. The mystery was still unsolved, with new owners of the house opposite the shop's return from holidays on Wednesday. Noticing the garage door had received minor damage, had been pushed off its tracks, they suspected a break-in. Upon inspection, they found the car was inside. Police say the owner probably did not put the transmission in park when he left the vehicle on a slight slope. That's an interesting line.
Is that one of those cars with the computers in them that drive them instead of the people like we get out in California?
Well, they never really said, but what they were saying is that they think that it might have just rolled out of the garage of whoever stole it and then randomly ended up in the neighbors of the people that own the car.
Oh, that is pretty random.
What do you think, Brent?
I thought you said the car that it was parked and then it rolled down the hill into someone's garage.
Yeah, because somebody stole it. They don't know who stole it, but randomly ended up rolling right back where it was stolen from.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, it rolled all the way down this big long hill and landed right where they stole it from, like it went back.
Wow. It's got a return to home configuration on it.
That's what Nick was saying, the car that parks itself. Well, this one, I don't have a formal sort of news article on this, but I thought this was interesting. They found a type of seal in Washington State that hasn't been seen for about 100 years almost, or about that. And it was sitting on the beach sleeping in Washington State, but I guess they said that's the second time they've even seen one down there in like 100 years. But I thought that was somewhat interesting. I told you guys about it yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I need evidence. I don't believe it. I'm a skeptic. I need evidence.
Last one is for Brent, too. McDonald's restaurants are fighting back against thieves by blasting suspected robbers with an invisible DNA spray as they attempt to flee. It's a Selecta DNA forensic marking spray proved successful in apprehending bandits. McDonald's will introduce the system across its 780 Australian stores. The spray contains a synthetic DNA strand composed of 60 chromosomes, said Selecta DNA Director David Morrissey. Select DNA is non-toxic, non-allergic, and perfectly safe to deploy. It meets all Australian standards, is what they said. So they're going to install these cannons packed with this weird type of spray in basically every McDonald's that you could think of.
Oh, looks like the hamburger was in trouble.
Who?
The hamburger.
The hamburger, you know? The guy that takes all the hamburgers from McDonald's.
I thought Brent would know more about it because he is the McDonald's.
So what does the spray even do?
It's kind of like pepper spray in a way, from what I read.
So it sprays DNA at the person?
It's some weird type of DNA strand that makes your eyes water, like fall down and stuff. From what I read, at least.
Wow. Yeah, so then afterwards, when they, if you get away, they could do some, scan or something on your clothes and do some CSI crap and find out if you have the DNA code from the machine or not on you. I think that's what the idea for it is.
Oh, you know about that, Nick?
Well, no, not the particular article you shared, but to me it just sounds like, they're going to spray the DNA spray on somebody, and then they can trace that DNA spray to the machine that sprayed it. That's the idea with CSI stuff, to find out if somebody did a crime or not. If you can find someone's DNA evidence at a crime scene, it says so-and-so was at the crime scene. Well, if somebody has that spray on their coat or their pants or something and they can prove it, you can prove that that person was the person who stole from the McDonald's and got sprayed by the machine.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Well, for my last section of news, before we get to the topic, I was going to say a little bit of team news. What's going on with the team, guys? Anything interesting?
We're preparing for Paratour 2012.
They're preparing for our Paratour trip. We got a pretty good idea where we're going to go. It's most likely going to be Northern California and possibly Southern Oregon for this year. As you guys all know, last year we went to Colorado, Utah, and Nevada for last year's trip.
We're going to rep the Grand Marquis again this year.
Hell yeah!
And just for fun, we're going to put hydraulics on it so we can bounce through the woods as we're looking at the
Well, I'm going to get started with today's topic here. Now we had a little bit of news stories. Well, today's topic is about the Mothman, or a cryptid that. Do you want to say the definition, Nick? Because you're the Mothman Warrior.
I'm the Mothman Warrior 1.0. You have to remember that. Well, the Mothman is a cryptid, or perhaps we'll get into this stuff a little later on. Is an entity which stands about 6 to 8 foot tall. It's got a human body with kind of like a large head, large red eyes, and some antenna-like features, and large wings. So it's kind of a humanoid entity that is crossed with a moth or some other type of insect. That's probably the best description I can give. And it was spotted first in Point Plesant, West Virginia during the, Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, the 60s?
Oh, yeah, the late 60s.
Okay, yeah, it's during the late 60s, and that's the inspiration for the popular movie made about 10 years ago or so called The Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere and that other chick, I don't know her name, but that's a little background information.
Yeah, as Nick was saying, it's a flying cryptid that has red eyes and is commonly seen on the eastern United States, but it's also seen similar creatures in other areas of the country. But we're going to get started with a little bit of... What's that?
I was going to say, well, isn't there similar entities spotted across the world? Like I know in England they have the vampire of something cathedral or something, don't they? Which is similar to Mothman?
Well, they have that, but their primary one that's similar to the Mothman is called the Owlman. But
yeah, the Owlman, yeah. That's what I was thinking about.
Well, first we're going to talk about the Mothman, and then we'll branch off into the other things if you guys want to do it that way.
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, my first thing I was going to say, the Mothman, they said that it lives in this area. It's called the TNT area. This is in West Virginia. It's called the TNT area, which is an old munitions dump. I guess you call it a dump. They store all these munitions after World War II and radioactive materials in these they call them igloos. They're these round domes made of concrete that they store these chemicals and things in. But apparently, over the years, these things have been broken into, and certain ones have been opened up. And the Mothman is commonly seen there, but it was also seen at the time. There were 2 power plants in the area, and some people say that the creature might have lived in these power plants, or maybe it was attracted to them somehow. You guys, what do you guys think?
Well, yeah, those are the bare details of the story and the first encounters with this creature that we've had, at least in recent history. It's a pretty mysterious phenomenon. One thing that is often thrown out there with the relation to the TNT areas is that perhaps a bird fell into the TNT areas and then the radiation. Talking about radiation, we were talking about the rice coming from the place that was soaked with radiation from the power plants, that a bird fell into some radiation and mutated into this animal. I don't know. We don't even know if it's an animal. I'll say entity. I think it's the most appropriate title. This entity we know as the Mothman.
Yeah. Well, something I forgot to mention. Well, where these igloos are built and these power plants, was also a bird sanctuary prior. Now, I was saying, Nick, you said your theory, do you think it's some sort of a mutated creature, or could it be a bird, or government experiment? What's your take on this?
My opinion with the Mothman is probably I got a more out there theory, I guess. I think that the Mothman is probably something from another dimension. And I think it has some type of extra sensory perception that we human beings do not have. Animals might have it. But so maybe it could be an animal, but I think it's something from another dimension because the Mothman often shows up before a great disaster happens. That's another thing that is associated with the Mothman in the movie, the Mothman Prophecies, the Silver Bridge collapse, which really happened in real life, and that was the event that proceeded or came after a bunch of Mothman sightings. And then I think there's also been Mothman sightings associated with hurricanes and earthquakes and various other types of disasters. So I think it's something that isn't quite of this world. May it be an alien? I don't know. I mean, there's so many theories we could come up with.
Well, what I was thinking was that the Mothman, it could be my personal opinion, I thought that it could be a mutated bird maybe. Because people say that it often perches high up in the trees, or when the power plants, before one of them got destroyed, they were saying that it would stay like roost up in the rafters and things of these power plants. Well, that's my opinion. Or it could be a giant bat of some sort too, I guess.
Well, one thing that kind of points me in the direction of Mothman being, I don't want to say supernatural, but I guess it might be something supernatural because it's beyond our nature, is the way it flies. I know in one story where some people were in a car and they were running away from it, going about 70, 80 miles an hour, and they said the Mothman was chasing them. And the Mothman wasn't flapping its wings. Does it flap its wings? Maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I remember they said it like glided through the air. It didn't flap its wings. It kind of just flew through the air and glided. Just kind of weird if you
most
think about
people say that it glides when it flies, but a couple people have said that they've seen it flapping its wings and things, but a lot of people say that it somewhat glides, almost as if its wingspan is so doesn't really need to flap its wings to stay or catch pace with whatever it's chasing.
Again, that fact doesn't totally get rid of the theory that it could be an animal. I mean, we have animals like flying squirrels, for instance, which jump from the tops of high places and they fly. You know, they glide through the air. Also, peregrine falcons, when they dive to catch their prey, they don't flap their wings. They dive at almost 200 miles an hour, completely, in an aerodynamic posture that they keep their bodies and their wings. So the Mothman could have similar adaptations or physical features which allow it to do that.
Well, Brent, I was just going to say, what do you think the Mothman is?
I'm not sure from all the stories and everything. I think it's probably either a government experiment that went wrong, or it's probably like what you were saying, like a bird or something that fell into got like radiation and got mutated or something.
Oh, I see. So you're going on the government experiment type? That's pretty much somewhat the same track as me in the sense.
Yeah.
Well, this Mothman, it has incredible speed, like Nick was saying. I know the first story, there was a lady named Linda Scarberry that was trying to outrun this creature in a car back in the late 60s. But anyways, she said she was going 75 miles an hour, and the creature was keeping up with the car, flying, trying to follow it. And it said that the creature followed her all the way into the city limits until it flew away. But she said as the creature was chasing them, that she said once in a while the wings would hit the side of the car as it would flap its wings. Like its wingspan was huge. But something I would like to note that goes sort of along with Nick's interpretation. They said they originally seen this creature over in this power plant, and they got scared and they drove away. But as they were driving away, they ended up seeing the creature down the road, sitting by the side of the road, almost waiting for them to pass by before it took flight and chased them. Now, something that I would like to point out was, does that mean there's more than one of these creatures? Or does that mean that there's just one, but it's super fast?
Well, with the number of sightings of this creature throughout the decades, it automatically comes to your mind that there needs to be a breeding population. So I think there's more than one, but it's my opinion.
You agree with him, Brett?
Yeah, there's definitely got to be at least some kind of breeding population out there for like what Nick was saying, to be seen throughout the decades. I mean, it could just be one, but then cause since the sightings are so sparse and they're all spread out all over the place, it could just be one, or it could be two. It could be trying to, look for that special someone to procreate. I'm not sure.
I'm not aware of any stories of the Mothman really hurting a person, but it has chased people. So I guess it would make sense that if it could catch you, I'm pretty sure it would try to get you, right?
Yeah. But then again, you got to think from like an animal's perspective. Like if you're in their territory, they're going to chase you out. Some animals get pissy, and then they'll chase you out of their territory. Like certain birds will do that. If you get too close to their nest, they'll start flying around and start dive bombing you and everything.
Well, something I'd like to say. This creature, a lot of people say that it's a carnivore, because sightings have seen these types of creatures with dogs and sheep and different animals, like sitting by them dead, or in their talons or whatever, however you'd say that. So you figure I'm pretty sure that they have a taste for meat after the sightings that people were saying.
Yeah, I think you are. I think that you and I, Jared, talked about the Mothman. Didn't you say that it carried off a deer even a couple times?
Oh yeah.
So
if they're capable of picking up a deer, could they pick up a person?
Oh yeah. Deer are a lot bigger than people.
Not if you're
Felix.
A big heavy guy with a red jacket. I don't know if we could pick him up.
Oh yeah, him too.
Wow.
We'd have a little bit of trouble trying to pick him up.
Yeah. Again, unless you're Felix.
He definitely wouldn't be able to pick Felix up. But anyways. The Mothman. A lot of people say that some professor, I don't recall the name, but he was saying that he thought that people were seeing a sandhill crane, that there was no such thing as a Mothman, that these people were seeing a sandhill crane. And from what we've seen, when Jeff Ramsey was being interviewed, he's a Mothman author, he was being interviewed on our show about a year ago, he was saying that people were fed up and people were getting angry at this theory, and they said that there is no way you could confuse a crane or a regular type of bird, for that instance, with this creature. What's your guys' take on that?
Well, if they're that it's a crane, I mean, okay. The theory that it's a crane, I guess it could make a little pinch of sense. If you only see the Mothman from behind, maybe you could confuse the Mothman with the crane because of the large wingspan. But the very detailed accounts that we have from eyewitnesses, which, as I earlier stated, say that this creature is a hominid or human-like, and that it has large red eyes and these antennas, and this feature and that feature really kind of puts a dent into that theory because of the now if the accounts are saying something like, yeah, we saw something that was large and had these big wings and it flew really fast, maybe the bird theory might work a little bit better, but because of the details of the accounts from the eyewitnesses that we have, the bird theory doesn't make a lot of sense in my opinion.
What do you think, Brent?
I think I'm leaning towards what Nick's saying, because I mean, like to get it mixed up, it's kind of hard, because when you think of a crane, you're not like, oh, this thing had antennas, this thing had moth-like wings and claws and looked like a human. Like if you heard that kind of description, you're like, wait a minute, that's Mothman. That sounds like a human type creature, not a bird crane.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brent, there's a guy in the chat room that's asking to give a description of the creature again. Let's say, is there any way you could give like a quick description of the Mothman again?
Well, the Mothman is about 6 to 8 feet tall. It's got a human body, human-like body with claws on his hands and feet, big red eyes, moth-like wings, and antennas on his head, like kind of like you picture a moth, but instead of the torso being a moth, it's a human, like a human body, and then they have a head of a moth and wings of a moth.
Couldn't have said it better than myself. Anyways,
that's pretty fairly accurate. Oh,
well, this creature. Now, I guess Lauren Coleman, who's another author, he says that the creature sightings are still reported in West Virginia, but most of the sightings are overseas at this point in time. But through Bigfoots Pad Research, which is our paranormal team, for those of you that are listening that don't know, we actually found something called the Arizona Butterfly Man, which is a similar creature that's in northern central Arizona, and I actually collected a few reports from that. And we were going to go look for that, maybe even this summer, I don't know. Depends whatever we figure out. But I'm not sure if Brent or Nick knows really the descriptions of it. The Arizona Butterfly Man, it's a creature that lives in the forest. I'm trying to think what the name of the forest is. I want to say the San Juan National Forest. That's what I think it is. But anyways, there's this forest. It has like somewhat of a human-like body, but it's more bulky and more squared. And apparently, this creature sits on the limbs of the trees, these big giant pine trees and carnivorous trees. And I guess it dive bombs cars and things like that. And a bunch of campers were reporting it to us. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I recall you telling me about that, yeah.
Yeah, but this creature, it's pretty much the same thing as the Mothman, but I don't really hear anything about red eyes for that aspect. A lot of people are either reported as a giant bird of some sort, or they say it has dark gray, what do you call it? It has like a dark gray sort of skin tone.
Well, Jared, could it be a crow or is it a crane?
Crane.
Crane, okay.
But anyways, what is it? Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. Well, something that I'd like to mention was a lot of people say, where's the evidence of these creatures? Where is they? They can't exist. There's no evidence. But
you're lying. I'm a skeptic. I need evidence. I don't believe.
There was a footprint that was casted over of the Butterfly Man by a researcher, I think his name's Tom Nix, but he got a supposed footprint of this creature. It's on display in a local museum around there. I'm not exactly sure what the museum is, but I looked it up and I found it, but that'd be interesting. And Jeff Wamsley, who's the head researcher of this at the current time over in West Virginia, they found a strange skull by one of these igloos. It looked almost like a turtle skull, but it was oversized, almost the size of a football, maybe bigger. But I guess he said that there was no water nearby. There was no way the turtle would be in that area. And even though it's sort of like a swampy-looking area, I guess he said that specific spot there was nowhere a turtle would be. Do you guys remember that? And he said it was inconclusive, that no one could find what animal the skull went to.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, yeah, I remember that skull that they found. And some people say, oh, it's a giant tortoise, and it's this, and it's that. Yeah, I remember that. He ended up taking it off his website when they updated it, so I'm not really sure what the outcome ended up being. At the time when we talked to him, he said that it was inconclusive, that the laboratories he took it out. So, I don't know, Brent. You were on the show when he was talking about that, weren't you?
Talking about
the weird skull that Jeff Wamsley was brought into his museum.
Oh, was it like the crystal skull?
Oh, no, they thought that it could have been the skull of a Mothman that someone brought in.
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
You weren't on that one?
Yeah, I don't think so.
But, yeah, on a different note, there's a creature over in Washington State. It's called the Bat Squatch. It's supposed to be almost like a reptilian. It's like the Mothman, but it's more reptilian than bird-like. Every single person that describes it, they say it has almost like a lizard's type of head instead of a humanoid moth-like head. But apparently this one has purplish skin and purple in color. And some people say it has a purple glow. But it's in the Mount St. Helens area, and this, I guess, a lot of loggers in the area have seen it.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, there's one thing we always have to bring up in every Mothman show that we do. Jared, do you think that the Jersey Devil could be the same as the Mothman?
Well, this is a good topic to bring up. I kind of think that the Jersey Devil and the Mothman could be either closely related or they could be the same exact creature in my book, the way I look at it, because both creatures, the Jersey Devil and the Mothman, both have red eyes, wings, they're 6 to 8 feet tall, they're often seen flying around doing whatever, and they're perching on the limbs of trees, and a lot of them say that it has sort of a high-pitched squeaking type of sound from what we've interviewed. What do you guys think?
Oh, I don't know. I think that they're closely related and possibly are the same thing because they're in the proximate geographic area to each other. And one question, Jared, is Becky in the chat room?
Yeah, Becky's on hold on the line, but for some reason I'm clicking put her on the line, but it won't put her on the line. But she can listen to us right now. Nick, you there?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just picking up food really quick. Yeah, I was saying Becky's on the line. She's probably screaming at the top of her lungs right now about the fact that I brought up Mothman and the Jersey Devil. I know in previous shows we talked about it, and she gets kind of heated about it.
Well, what do you think, Fred? What's your theory on the Mothman and Jersey Devil?
Sorry, Brent.
It's all right. For me, they sound like similar creatures, and they're in the same area. I mean, they could be the same, but for me, I think they're two totally different things, in my perspective.
So you think they're two different creatures?
Yeah.
think kind of loud on Nick's side.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Well, we're going to go on a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we are going to talk more about the Mothman and other similar creatures. And you're listening to BFT Radio.
I know Cool, and Cool's teaming up with a good balanced breakfast.
Teaming up with Mr. T cereal, that's getting on the team that knows how cool breakfast can be. You get a crispy corn taste with a touch of brown sugar. Teaming up with Mr. T.
It's Cool.
Teaming up with Mr. T, golden sweet crispy teas. One bite and you're gonna be eating with a team that's teaming up with Mr. T.
It's Cool.
Teaming up with Use Ajax, the foaming cleanser. Clean pots and pans, just like a whiz.
Ajax cuts grease faster than any other leading cleanser.
You stop paying the elbow tax when you start cleaning with Ajax.
Ajax really polishes as it cleans.
So use Ajax, the foaming cleanser. Flush the dirt right down the drain.
My gosh, they're right. Foaming action Ajax makes even the dirtiest pan shine like new in a jiffy.
On BFT Paranormal Radio. Today's show, we're talking about the Mothman and similar creatures. I was going to say, while we were on commercial break, I actually was looking for the picture of that skull. I guess they're supposed to be sending it to me here pretty quick. But Tim just called in. You're on the line, Tim?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, something that they're talking about in the chat room that I think would be interesting to bring up is what Nick brought up earlier. The Mothman's supposed to be an omen for disaster. When people see the Mothman, supposedly things happen. Like Nick was talking about the Silver Bridge collapse. Can you talk a little bit about that again, Nick?
Oh, yeah. Well, in the late 60s in Point Plesant, there is a bridge that goes across, I believe, the Ohio River. I'm not sure if that's the correct river or not. Okay. Well, the Silver Bridge goes across the Ohio River, and it used to get in and out of town, and there's a bunch of Mothman sightings in the week or so preceding the collapse of the bridge into the river. No one really knows why it broke down or whatever. Probably just due to the fact the bridge was really old, but the Mothman appeared right before this, and in retrospect, a lot of people just said it was kind of an omen or an indicator, or was trying to warn us even.
Yeah. What do you think? But do you think that as history shows, for instance, there's that ghost in Florida where it warns people of hurricanes and different things like that? Do you think maybe the Mothman could be warning people? Or do you think it's just a coincidence of some sort?
Well, if it was just one or two isolated events, I would say that there's a good chance it could be a coincidence, but with the long track record of Mothman sightings before disasters, I think that greatly reduces the likelihood of a coincidence to, if not nothing, to near nothing. So I definitely believe that there's a link between between a disaster and Mothman sightings. Now, is the Mothman some type of a prophetic-like figure, or some, I could go off and off and off and on and on and on, but is it some type of an omen, just, I guess, keep it at that. I think so.
What do you think, Brent and Tim? Do you guys agree with Nick, or do you guys think something else?
Sure. I guess I agree.
Yeah, I guess I partially agree with Nick. Like I said, for the most part, I do. He maybe is like an omen of some sort, but then again, on the other hand, I think he could just be a cryptid of some sort. I don't know. I still stick to the theory that it could possibly be the Jersey Devil, maybe migrating.
Yeah,
a
we
lot of reports
were talking about that a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Becky says there's lots of stories of ghosts and spirits warning people about things. If the Mothman is an intelligent entity from another dimension, I think it very could well know things before they could happen. And it's trying to warn us, much like spirits do, is what Becky was saying in the chat room.
Oh, yeah. It could definitely be that way.
Well, I have a question.
Oh, you guys are good.
A crazy random fact. Beelzebub, the demon in The Exorcist, that statue?
Oh, yeah.
In the movie? It looks just like the Mothman. I just want to point that out.
It does.
And maybe it's Beelzebub and he's coming to curse us.
Well, another interesting fact, while we're on the subject of facts, there was a National Guard base, in a sense, I guess you could call it. There was a base established in this TNT area after the Mothman sighting started. So you figure, is this a coincidence, or what? Why would they choose to set up this base in a hot spot that's supposedly a government experiment? It's kind of a lot of things kind of don't really add up.
Well, yeah, see, I think of it like this, see. Okay, you're in Point Plesant, and then you get all these weird sightings of this creature. The government's going to come and investigate, and cover it up like they do everything else. So they're going to come in, move in the town, establish some type of a base or a research station. You're going to seal the areas off that this thing is mostly seen in, and
you got to throw in the Men in Black too, Nick.
Oh yeah, the Men in Black are in the area, and they'll go around harassing and questioning people and this and that. So I think the government I don't think they caused it. I think they were just acting in response to it, and they just came and wanted to see what was going on.
So Brent, do you think that, like Nick was saying, they're just responding to the sightings, or do you think that they might have established this base so they could try to catch it or do something like that?
I don't know. Well, I missed the last 5 minutes.
Oh, we were saying there's a National Guard base that was established in the area after the sightings of the Mothman were mainstream coming in,
Uh-huh.
And I was saying, do you think that they have this base established because they're trying to catch this creature? Or like Nick was saying, do you think that they're just establishing the base because after the sightings picked up, they think it could be a threat sooner or later or something like that?
I think it could be a little bit of both. Like they established the base because of all the sightings, and then, they're going to try to see if it's actually out there. And then at the same time, they're out there to see if, this creature is hostile towards, the city, the surrounding cities or anything like that, to see if it's actually, killing people. And then if it is, they're going to, obviously they're going to try to kill it or capture it.
So I got sidetracked here for a minute. So the question that I'm getting asked on our Facebook is, when are we going there?
When shall we make the pilgrimage to the Holy Land of Paranormal, Point Plesant, West Virginia?
What do you guys think?
Well, when we're going to go there?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to go next year, but it might be during the time of our other paratour.
I think, well, this year, we were thinking of possibly looking for that butterfly man in Arizona that was talked about earlier. What do you guys think?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Why is it Big Red on the line?
It's not like someone said Big Grandpa, but...
No, I said, wait, we should get Big Red on the line.
She's on the line now. I keep clicking live, but for some reason I can't hear her. Like, I keep clicking.
You should buy her some Big Red
right now, though.
On my side of the phone, there's a bunch of interference and stuff, so I don't know, something weird going on. It's the government watching us and put us on the SOPA list or the whatever list. And shut down the one website already. Maybe they're coming after us next.
Yep.
Well, Becky wanted me to bring up the fact that there's a lot of UFO sightings in the area.
That is true, there are.
So do you guys think that maybe it could be an alien of some sort?
Well, again, they're the Braxton County Monster, right? Wasn't that someone nearby?
Well, the Braxton County Monster in West Virginia is basically 1 or 2 towns over, so it's a possibility.
It definitely could be a link between the two.
So, do you think the UFO sightings could be related to the Mothman there, Brent?
You mean the one on the aliens that they saw before that bridge collapsed?
Oh, no, I was just saying, like, in general, do you think West Virginia having some of the most UFO sightings in the country could have anything to do with the Mothman?
It could. I mean, they did say before that Silver Bridge collapsed that they saw aliens, like, on the bridge the day before, and then the day of they saw Mothman on the bridge, and then he left the bridge, and then the bridge collapsed or whatever. So it sounds like it could be.
Well, you figure if there was high alien activity, you think maybe, this is a theory that someone's telling me right here, you think maybe that the Mothman, maybe the aliens are searching for the Mothman, is what the guy was saying. His name's Rick on our Facebook. You think that's kind of odd? Like maybe the aliens are looking for the Mothman as well?
Could be.
Yeah, that's possible. But I have a question.
I thought that possibility before.
We have about 10 minutes left in the show, just letting everybody know. Now back to this bat squatch I was talking about. I was just thinking, why would that creature be purple or be glowing purple, in a sense? Because some people say the Mothman, instead of having red eyes, some people were saying it glows red. Why would they glow two different colors? If they do, that is. What do you guys think?
It's the radiation that made the bird mutated. It's a mutation that turned the cells of the Mothman into the cells of other creatures like the fish that live in the deep. Oh, I don't know, it's a wild theory to throw out there.
It could be. Or, I was going to, like, on the along the same lines, everybody say it has giant red eyes, like the Mothman. Maybe, I know there's some nocturnal creatures that do have large eyes, you know what I mean, that glow red.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a creature called the Rogan that lives in New Guinea. It's supposed to be a dinosaur, and they said that supposedly glows in amber color. Now, if that supposedly glows that color and the Mothman glows a different color, maybe it's just something like Nick was saying in the animal kingdom we don't understand yet.
Yeah, could be.
Brent knows. He's just not saying.
Well, we need to ask Becky. She is big red.
Well, I was just saying Brent, he could glow purple. He just doesn't do it very often.
And he's a pterodactyl, too.
Well, Brent was saying something. What's that, Brent?
I was just saying only on special occasions.
For Valentine's Day, he'll glow red, and for Christmas, he'll glow a green or a white colored.
No, green is only for St. Patrick's Day.
Only when he's really excited he glows.
Well, the Mothman, here's what I was saying. There isn't very much evidence as far as photographs go, but there is people that supposedly have sound recordings of the Mothman. The Mothman's call, as I call it, is supposedly a high-pitched whistling or a high-pitched humming noise. It's almost like a car engine winding up. Why would the creature, you would think of that such a big creature, why would it have such a little tiny hum? Or like, I guess you call it a hum.
Well, maybe it's like those creatures where, like bats, where they have, well, bats use, like a sonar type thing. They use the sound. Maybe it's really low-key like that, you know what I mean? And that's how we're recording or something. I don't know.
Becky says, when we call her Big Red, she breaks out snickering every time we call her that, she says.
Big Red.
Don't worry, Nick called juicy fruit. We won't get into that.
Juicy fruit.
Wow.
But anyways. Well, sorry, I got a little sidetracked here. We have about 6 minutes left in the show, and I'm going to go on a quick commercial break before the end of the show, and then we'll finish up with our last 5 minutes or so. And you're listening to BFP Radio.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Ed. Go right to the source and ask the horse. He'll give you the answer that you endorse. He's always on a steady course. Talk to Mr. Ed. People yakety-yak the street and waste your time a day. But Mr. Ed will never speak unless he has something to say. A horse is a horse, of course, and this one will talk till his voice is hoarse. You never heard of a talking horse? Well, listen to this.
I am Mr. Ed.
And we're back on BFP Radio. Today's show was about the Mothman and similar creatures that are sighted around the world. Any final thoughts on what you think the Mothman is, Brent, or any interesting notes you want to end on?
Oh, what was that?
Well, I said any interesting notes or final thoughts on the Mothman you wanted to end the show with?
Final thoughts. My final thoughts on Mothman. I think, the whole creature itself. I really want to figure out who and where it came from, and even if it's not out there anymore or it died off or something, I still want to find out what happened or how it became to be. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, it just sounds like something really interesting to just to find out.
Well, the Mothman, I don't know if we'll ever really figure out what the Mothman is in a sense. Someday we might.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with Brent. It's just so interesting, and like Brent said, even if it's not out there, I just want to know what it is or how it came to be, and why it showed up when it did. You know.
What if right now Brent's watching, doing the radio, doing whatever, he looks out the window and it's perched on a branch outside his house?
That'd be interesting.
Well, again, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to the show today and everyone that contributed to the evidence and the information. Next week's show is going to be on the Men in Black, and hopefully we'll get Becky on the line this time. Maybe won't have blog talk problems.
Very, very appropriate topic for this week too.
Yep. But anyways, we'll have the same time, 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific next week. And again, don't forget to call into BFP Radio. Check us out. And some of our websites, in case you want more information, you can go to Bigfootspad.com, Facebook.com/BFP-team, YouTube.com, and search BFP Team again, Twitter.com/BFP-team, or MySpace.com/BFP Team. And I think that's all of them. But anyways, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.